Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you, watching UFC Fight Night 44. The main event here of the fight was an awesome fight. Cub Swanson getting the win, going the full distance, something that he hadn't done before, going all the way to round 5. I thought that Jeremy Stephens, the guy that I picked in this fight, had a shot to really win this one. He was the guy that I picked as it's my guy who was going to win this. Swanson moved to 24-9. What a great story this fight had. I thought that they really stood there in the middle of this fight. They really, threw punches and really gave us all that they could here on Fight Night 44. It was one that really gets you pumped up, wanting to see another fight. But this was the main event. What a story Cub Swanson has. Everybody knows about him. Going through training and having fights, and just basically he broke his hand 8 times. And through all of that, his family begged and pleaded him to step away from UFC. Just said it wasn't for him. And, he kept on just continuing, training and moving on. And now here he is, one of the best boxers that can hold his own in UFC. With this win, he's going to be moving up to becoming the #1 contender. Probably on one of the next UFC pay-per-views in the flyweight division. Taking nothing away from Jeremy Stephens. I thought that he was a great fighter. He's probably going to have to, find his own. He had moved down in divisions, and he still looks like a big, huge monster. I thought that, basically when, they were in round 1 and they came out there, Stephens just kept on throwing huge punches at Swanson, and he was landing them. Just a whole lot of power behind that punch. Swanson was basically taking a step back. He was almost looking like he was trying to make a mistake, but Stephens just kept on landing huge shots on him. There was a spot at the end of round 1, basically, where, I couldn't really tell who had the advantage, where they were rolling around on the floor, but it ended up being one of the only times of this fight that it went down to the ground, basically where they held each other. It looked like Swanson was on top of the battle, but it looked like Stevenson also was, trying to lock in some sort of hold from the bottom. Some of these things, with me being new to UFC, it was a little bit different, to figure out, who's got what and who's gone down. Round 2. Basically was a big, standstill. They basically traded huge, big shots coming back from each other. Stephens would land 2 huge, big blows, but Swanson would come back with another. There was one point when Stephens got knocked. He got knocked pretty stupid, and basically, he was able to reboot and go from there. Round 3 is when Jeremy Stephens really, started to lose this fight. It wasn't that he was outmanned. He just basically, he got knocked dumb in round 2, and you could tell in round 3 he kept on slipping up and making that small decision. But no matter how hard Swanson was hitting Stephens, Stephens wouldn't go down. You could tell he was the bigger man in this fight. But basically there was a point in round 3 where basically Stephens got knocked from one end of the octagon all the way back to one side and back. It was almost like he was running the ropes in wrestling, but he was getting punched in the face to do it. Round 3 was when this fight basically was all over. But you got to say, it wasn't, Stephens never quit in this fight. All the way to the end of this fight when they were running around the ring after, round 5. And they were waiting to count up the decision. They were pumping up the crowd from San Antonio because they knew that they had given those people their money's worth, and they really did get a good fight. Stephens never went down. He traded punches with him. I'm sure he's going to be... he's going to find his own in this division, and he's one of the guys that I want to go with, just because that every punch he throws is on target. He just needs to land that one big blow, and at any point anybody could go down. There was some blows for the Stephens threw at Swanson that just could have happened at any time. Swanson's moves to 24-9. He's going to become the new #1 decision guy and #1 contender in this division. And, I think a lot of people are going to be looking at him to take the championship and just move up in UFC and go from there. But UFC Fight Night 44, the last 2 fights were really, really good. I know that Cub Swanson and Jeremy Stephens are 2 guys that I'm really, really going to be looking for. It just sucked that my guy didn't win, but you can't win them all. Peace out.